Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Retail Corner. I am here with Kristi Weiler. She is starting her journey with Hanna Andersson, and I just kind of wanted to touch base with her about a few things today. Kristi, thank you very much for being here on the Retail Corner.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for our audience that doesn't really hasn't really met you and everything else like that, can you walk through your CV a little bit and kind of tell us why you're here?
Sure. I've spent 25 plus years within the retail space after a 2-year stint doing investment banking out of college. And I really found a love for consumer behavior, products and services that sort of dovetail into the environment we live in and in a society. And I grew up in, data analytics, looking at, sales and inventory plans. And I started my first retail journey actually at Gap Inc., working for a Gap brand. And I spent 25 years there throughout a range of roles and responsibilities in inventory management, demand planning, buying, and then I spent about a decade plus within the e-commerce space. So really taking on roles and responsibilities that allowed me to study the consumer, look at retail acumen, business acumen, and be able to deliver results for a corporation that I really loved. It had a great principle of, Don and Doris Fisher looking for a pair of jeans that they just could never find the right size. And so I really admired that purpose. And the point is I spent a time there just sort of learning and building a career. But now I'm at Hanna Andersson and I'm doing merchandising, analytics, and pricing. And I'm really taking a lot of the skills and experiences that I've had and sort of shaping them into solving problems, looking for opportunities to drive business growth, looking for where consumers are willing to pay and what's the value of products and services that we sell. And so I'm there now. It's a very early start, but I've been really enjoying my time there so far.
But I mean, with Gap or Hanna Andersson or really any retail, it's all about people, right? It's all about managing the customer expectations, both internal and external, and everything else. With Gap, it must have been a huge team. And I'm guessing Hanna Andersson's a little bit more agile, a little bit more a smaller team. Is there a difference in managing those teams?
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, when I first started at Gap, I had a team of one, and I really learned how to right? And quickly of how do I get results done with one person. And so as you move throughout your time, learning who your employee is, what motivates them, what drives the work that they do, how do you get work done in a timely, efficient way? You build through sort of experiences both on the job, and the beauty of Gap Inc. is they had a lot of formal learning and development programs. So you could actually get sort of coaching and guidance in a formal way. But I was able to take on, a team of 2, a team of 5, a team of 10 across my roles and responsibilities. And to your point, getting work done through 1 or 5 people is very different than getting work done through 60. And so for me, it's always like listening to who your team is, what motivates them, what's the common goals that you share in your organization, and being able to celebrate that and center yourselves around those common goals and be really super transparent and clear as to what we need to accomplish, how we can get the work done. Making sure that they're clear on your expectations, whether, again, a team of 1 or a team of 60 is really important. And I think as I've gotten into later stages of my career, being able to bring team members in sort of a full circle loop, meaning, hey, when we've got an annual strategy we need to deliver as an organization, how do you actually start to pull your team members into the conversation, into the ideation, into the solutions versus leading through a top-down approach is something I pivoted into over the later stages of my career. And I found that to be really effective because the diversity of ideas, the diversity of experiences on your team, is a gift. You want to leverage that and take advantage of that in driving sort of your ultimate organizational goals, how you're going to deliver your results, and then how do you celebrate those wins. And if you're a good leader, you want to build the bench for the future as well. Who's going to take your place? Who's going to be the future leaders of the team? And by giving team members and leaders opportunities to demonstrate skills, to practice the ability to also think on their feet, to innovate, to deliver, it showcases that you really are one big team. So I guess the point here is, where I am now, I'm a team of 0. I'm a team of myself. And I love the idea of kind of also coming full circle and saying, I believe that through the ability to get work done yourself, get work done through others, be able to tap into the potential and the diversity of skills and experiences, if you can navigate how to sort of weave yourself in and out as a leader, it really demonstrates your ability to get work done despite the environment that you're in.
Makes sense. I can imagine it's sometimes harder to make decisions when you're a team of 1 versus a team of 60. It's actually harder to make decisions. But
then you influence your the work that you get done, you influence in different ways, right? So it's through how you build partnerships, how do you collaborate in a different way that may not be through a traditional method of an organization, but more through colleagues and mentors and other leaders in the team. So again, skills that I think you build over the course of a career, and then how those skills show up in different organizational structures is sort of the work of the work.
That makes sense. So when you were building out your team and Gap and everything else, as you're building your team in Hanna Andersson, hopefully, are you hiring for a specific attitude? Is there a skill set that's really important? What do you look for in a hire, I guess?
It's a good question. A lot of times when you're putting a resume together and going through the interview process, you're hiring for a certain set of skills that are requirements of that job. But beyond that, I mean, that's half the battle. The other half of the battle is, does this person have a character that aligns with your corporation strategy? Is this person, easy to work with? Are they offering and challenging you on new ideas? Do they bring curiosity and sort of ideation to the conversation?
Okay.
It's sort of like, how do you think about this? You're hiring the person, not just the skills that they bring to the conversation. And for me, it's really easy to hire someone that aligns 100% with how you think and how you would do something and how you get results done. But I also challenge myself in the hiring process to say, is this person going to complement what I bring? Are they going to balance out my background, my skills, my experiences, the way that I think, and sort of offer solutions to the challenges that we have in the business? Because again, as you build organizations and you lead organizations, it really is about the diversity of perspectives that offers up new ways to tackle different challenges. And I think in the process of looking for and hiring the individuals to join a team, it really is about, can they do the job, yes or no? But beyond that, are they offering incremental value to your team that you maybe not possess today?
Yeah, because I mean, with every person that you're adding to a team, you have the ability to affect a brand's kind of integrity, kind of a ability to affect a brand's course down the road in a pretty good way. And so, like, maintaining that brand's integrity is crucial. And so, like you said, you've worked with online, you've worked in stores, you've worked across the customer experience. And so, how do you maintain that consistency of the brand?
I think about a brand like Hanna Andersson, to me, and even Gap, they have a story to tell, right? They're not just selling products. They're not Amazon. We're not selling widgets. We're selling a story. At Hanna Andersson, it's all about outfitting the adventure of childhood and, making sure kids can have fun.
Which is a serious adventure, yeah.
It is. Make sure kids can wear something they can have fun in and play in, but parents also know that they're going to get something that's very sustainable, very durable. It's safe to wear. And I think about that story and the thread sort of that goes throughout the story. There's this red thread. There's a Swedish saying that Hanna Andersson has, and it's really about how does the red thread connect everything we do and offer value? And that's through our iconic design. It's all through the principles of childhood, and it's all about being sustainable in our environment. I say all that because that is at the core of who we are. That's the story of why Hanna is. And when you talk about that, the mission, the purpose, the value, and then you think about the services and products that you're selling to consumers, all of that weaves its way into your site experience. It weaves its way into your social platforms. It weaves your way into customer loyalty. And I think about that in terms of that's who we are. That's the integrity we bring to our consumer. And we believe in it every day. The employees, the customer service channels, the personal shoppers, the products that we bring to bear all have to meet those standards. And I think the consumer sees that. They know what they're getting when they come to our website. They know what they're getting when they experience us with the products they have. And I believe that really is the thread that sort of brings some of these brands and distinguishes them from others is what are consumers really getting from you? What's your story? And do they feel it and live it as they're experiencing your products and services?
That makes perfect sense. You mentioned sustainability, and I've got a couple kids myself, and there were times where it seems like they were outgrowing things constantly.
It happens.
Yeah. Every time they put on like, you wore that yesterday. How is that not fitting anymore? And so how do you balance the sustainability that Hanna Andersson is known for with that kind of product? How are you guys working with sustainability?
It's a great question, and sustainability is not a new word. It's not a new business practice. It's been around for quite a while. And
even hot word today, though.
Even at my time at Gap, we would focus on, are we sustainable in the raw materials that we're sourcing? Can we trace the products back to their origin? And I would say, is the consumer willing to pay for those things, because the value that they say they want, is that there in terms of whether when they're willing to actually open up their wallet and pay for a good or product. At the end of the day, I would say sustainability has actually evolved into a multifaceted approach. It's like, what dyes are you using? What water and energy are you conserving? What packaging are you wrapping products in and shipping them in? What's your logistics network? Are you airing product in, or are you putting it on vessel? But for me, what I'm also seeing happen more in the industry, and I really love this idea, is how are retailers embracing circularity? And so, because consumers want to engage in sustainable practices where they are, and they may not always align to organic cotton, or they may not always align to recycled fabrics in their packaging, but they may, in fact, want to recycle their goods when they're done wearing them, or they might want to resell them, or they might want to reuse them in some other way. And so I think this idea of sustainability is actually mature to a place where companies can talk about and practice sustainability across different streams of where the consumer is. And so for me at Hanna, what's really interesting is in the last year, we introduced another tab onto the website. It's called Hand-Me-Downs. And so because we have such lasting, durable, sustainable products, they last a long time. And to your point, kids outgrow them very quickly. So consumers can bring back their products and have them resold to another consumer, and then come back and buy something new from Hanna. And it creates this circularity equation that ultimately also introduces new customers to our business that maybe weren't aware of us in a different platform, but because of the hand-me-down experience, they want to try us and get to know us, and yet do something good for the environment and be sustainable. So all of this in a way of saying, I think sustainability has become such an important part from beginning to end of the product lifecycle, but it also introduces new ways for consumers to participate in ideas that maybe weren't available in the way that sustainability was being talked about even 5 and 10 years ago.
And I mean, that being run through the actual company is huge. I mean, I know H&M does some recycling. I know several other companies do that kind of thing it's something that it gives it a little bit more credence, a little bit more, It gives it. I can't think of the word right now, strangely enough, but it does give it a little bit more governance when it comes to that. That you're dealing with good people. You're dealing with like a proper system rather than just Facebook Marketplace or something like that. And so, like, is that something that you guys are trying to increase within the digital presence?
It's a good question. It's not intended to be a sales driver per se. It's intended to be a customer offering that we've heard from our customers is really important to them. And I think that's really at the heart of when you think about responding to whether sustainability or other initiatives, keeping kind of a core footprint to what your consumer is looking to you for. Why do they come to you? Why do they have a repeat purchase? What do they value from you? And this was something we heard that they wanted and really drives a repeat purchase for them and helps keep them in our ecosystem, quite frankly, as we think about the life stage between baby to toddler to kids and to adult and then to family matching, pajamas. It creates that circularity, not just for the environment, but for our business cycle too. And so I think for us, it's like listening to our consumer and then adopting a practice that makes sense for both the environment and for business made a lot of sense. And we are seeing a lot of new customers try Hanna Andersson for the first time through the resale platform, and then come back to us when they're ready to sort of buy into new products that we're offering.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I'm going to make a logical leap here. We're talking about items having a new life and going out and experiencing new things. You are pretty new to Hanna Andersson, and so that tells me that you were just in the job market, and you were looking for a new life, just like these clothes. That's a weird transition, but we got it there. and so with the job market, I know that the numbers tell us it's getting a little weirder out there, and with this job search, like, how do you think people should stay competitive out there? Like, what are people looking for out there?
It's a great question. I could probably spend 30 minutes talking about my career search journey. I would say to be fully transparent, it's a lot of stops and starts. I think with anything that you do in life, especially after having been, I was with a company for so long, it's almost kind of like you're riding a bike again. You have to kind of learn where the wheels go and how to push the pedals and where the brakes are. And then once you get in it, I would say the words of advice I have are things that you hear in the marketplace, but never made the time to practice. And I think that was one of the moments of reflection I've had during this journey is it is critically important to make the time to really establish and practice networking. And you can read books about it, you hear podcasts about it. But the idea is, I went through a spreadsheet and said, at the time I had so many different network connections I made during my tenure at Gap. Like, let's go back to the list. Where is everybody today? What roles are they in? What industries have they changed into? And as it was very humbling to almost cold call some of these folks again and say, remember me from 10 years ago? Hey, we work together in this capacity. I would love to take you out for a cup of coffee, or I'd love to sort of connect on Zoom, which I'm thankful we have the platform to do that now post-pandemic. But the idea is everybody wants to help. And you just have to ask the question. And I over time, between listening to podcasts, keeping my intellectual curiosity stimulated through different mediums of connection into the business, into retail, what's going on, what's new, what's innovative, but also just making phone calls and connections with people. Going back to your question around hiring, I want to hire and meet people who can do the job. But for me, it's about connecting to the human beings. Where can I use my relationships to find an opportunity that matches my skill set, my interests, and where I could possibly go? And to be honest, that's how I got to Hanna Andersson. I called someone within my network I worked for 15 years ago. There was an opportunity for me to come and talk to a few folks at the team. And here I am offering really a toolkit of skills and experiences I've cultivated during my career. And I'm applying them in a bit of a different way than I have most recently. And so I think at the end of the day is it's okay to fall down. You're going to make some missteps in the job search, process. But I think, listening to podcasts, attending webinars, challenging yourself with what can I offer in this day and age of my skills. I did a small little project for them to sort of showcase where I can bring both my skills and my ideas to help the Hanna business. And I did that proactively to help serve up, here's why I'm a unique candidate that's going to stand out from the rest. And I think that really helped sort of push me over the edge, across to the hurdle of having an opportunity there with them. So my point is, it's like you try multiple things, you learn from your mistakes, but I think getting out there, making yourself available, talking with people and building a relationship is really key.
That makes sense. I love what you said about people are willing to help. You just have to ask. And
you do.
I've found that in my experience as well, is it doesn't matter if you haven't talked to somebody in 10 years. If you had a good relationship then, it comes back pretty quickly.
That's right. And it's really important as you're thinking of, especially early in your career, these relationships matter. They might not matter today in the way that you think they do, but they can really come back, 5 years, 10 years later and say they can serve a purpose that you may not have thought about at the time.
Oof. So I'm gonna have you boil it down into a proverb or something for me. If you could go back to your very beginning of your career and give yourself some advice with what we just talked about and everything else like that, how would you? What sentence would you tell yourself back then?
I would try new things. When the phone call comes to explore, despite how comfortable or how safe you may feel in the role that you're in, always be willing to take the phone call and listen to what else is out there. because you just never know when the right company, the right culture, the right people, the right future opportunities might play themselves out in a world that's really unknown. And as I shared, staying at 25 years with one company is a rare opportunity, and I'm
it's amazing these days. Yeah.
But never be shy of what you're valued, what you're worth, and where you want to head next. And I think until you take the phone call and have the conversation to even explore what's possible, you're shutting down an opportunity that may end up being the best thing that ever happened to you.
Oof. I think that's perfect advice. So, Kristi, is there anything else you want to talk about today? Because we're running up on our time limit right here, and I want to thank you so much for kind of taking a minute to talk with us. And I can't wish you all the luck in the world with your new job over at Hanna Andersson. And thank you very much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure to be here and have a little bit of coffee talk with you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us. I'll see you guys next time.
Sounds great.
If you would like to be featured on our podcast, please email us at podcast@retailcorner.live or visit our website, retailcorner.live. Looking forward to having you as our guest on our podcast, and thank you so much for listening.